Alainia.
Hey there.
It's good to have you back in the family plot garden.
Back to see the baby tomatoes again.
Back to see the tomatoes you planted. So what do you think so far?
I think they look good.
Think they look good?
They look real good.
All right, so it's been terribly hot here in Memphis this summer. So let's talk about summer tomato care. So where we need to start with that?
Well, I understand these are on a drip hose, drip irrigation,
Okay.
and they look pretty great.
They look pretty good?
You're getting fruit. Some of these can be picked ahead of time when they're still a little bit green to ripen indoors. That might help a little bit with the ripening. I see one that in the summer they're quick to go from almost ripe to way too ripe.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes you can pick them when they're maybe almost done, and even one that's still a little bit green on the green side. You can pick something like this. It doesn't just take it inside and set it indoors.
Okay.
Block the upside down like that.
Okay, upside down. How about that? Okay.
There you go. Right. And they don't have to be in the sun. Just put them in.
Okay.
It can be dark. Doesn't matter.
All right.
I've got a few spent blooms that didn't get pollinated. It looks like it's just the heat.
Right.
They won't pollinate when it's above 90.
Right.
The pollen inside the flower, they're self-pollinated. So they've got both the female and the male parts. They just have to move the pollen inside.
Okay.
That's going to be, I saw a bumblebee here earlier that was doing some good deeds, but you can go through here to sort of help them along with the heat.
Just
tap the blooms, shake the whole thing, grab the plant and shake it. I've seen people do, and that'll help because generally they're wind pollinated as well as the insect pollinated. I understand they're getting watered every day, but they look pretty good. There may be some blight. Might be a good time to, of course there's a lot of heat stress too, there might be a good time to start some of your chemicals on if you want to go that route for prevention.
Okay. And some of those chemicals are, of course, chlorothianil.
Then your other field with mancozeb, but they're preventative.
Right.
So maybe just heat stress that's causing them to look a little bit yellowing at the bottom.
Okay.
So
now,
maybe
would you
now
remove
wouldn't
some
be
of
bad
those
to
disease
treat.
leaves?
You could.
Could you do that?
You could, just for good practice, and discard them outside the garden.
Okay.
You want to look for hornworms.
Those things are hard to find.
Especially after the rain, they're hard to find.
So it's interesting, you said after the rain.
After rain, you can expect them within about a week.
How about that?
And the ground's got to be soft, and because they intend to eat and then go down in the ground to pupate. So the hawk moth or hummingbird moth will come along and lay like 1 to 3 eggs. So generally, if you see one, you've got more.
Wow. Okay.
But be on the lookout. They're hard to see, but you can definitely see when the damage comes along.
Oh, you can definitely see that.
You'll still have the stems, but you won't have any of the leaves.
Right.
Now you can treat those, and that's an organic treatment. It's BT.
Okay.
When the worm eats it, you don't have to worry about them eating anymore, so it'll kill them.
Right.
Of course, we pick them off too.
Sure.
That's the quickest way.
Sure.
Now, there's one hornworm that's a good hornworm that you do not want to kill.
It's a good hornworm?
Nobody thought I'd say that. If you see a hornworm that looks like it's got granules of rice sticking out of its back.
Ah, right. I know where you're going. Okay.
Parasitic wasp.
Right. Yeah.
Leave that worm alone. It won't eat anymore. It won't harm the plant at all at this point. And you want to breed more of those wasps.
And
they'll go out there and kill them for you.
Okay, it's the braconid wasp. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking
Little
about.
wasp, I guess.
Okay.
And keeping up with the fertilizer.
Okay. So what kind of fertilizer would you use for this time of the year?
It would be the same all the way throughout, just reading the directions, whether you do I generally use the higher dose, so I only have to do it every couple weeks or so.
Okay.
But just keep them fed. You can't do anything about the heat. They'll show some leaf curl sometimes, just from stress of the heat, but it'll get better as it cools off.
Any other diseases, anything else we should know about?
No, I think they look really good.
Okay.
A lot of people get blossom end rot, and that is, they'll say a calcium deficiency, but it's really and you don't have any of that. And I think it's because y'all are watering every morning, and it's just maintaining that moisture so they don't go without the calcium intake from like the ground being too dry to take it up in.
Right. So what if you have some like cracked fruit?
Okay, generally that's from when it rains, then we'll get too much rain, it'll have a growth spurt. Okay. And the calcium, or just the normal growth doesn't keep up with the kind of water that we get.
Right, gotcha.
But we can't do anything about that. But you can mulch, and just what you're doing with the morning watering, with the irrigation, just being consistent. And probably after a rain, look for the cracked fruit, knowing that happens, and usually you can harvest those, and they might even ripen a little bit before that you can hold on to them for a few days. Okay.
You mentioned mulch a couple of times, so what type of mulch do you like to use, or would you prefer?
There's so many methods. Some people use dried hay bales, or straw. I use pine needles, and I put newspaper up under them, and that way it just keeps the weeds out.
Got it.
This tomatoes being an annual, I mean, we only have to keep, around here it's Bermuda, but you just have to keep the grass out of there for a few months. So I try not to use, a lot of people use black plastic, and it makes it easier. Right. I'm using generally my garden area the same spot every year. So I try not to use any plastic that's going to be trouble to get up later. But putting newspaper down, it will till in and add to the soil. Okay. So.
So it's beneficial.
Yes.
Actually.
And pine needles work great. Yeah. They dry out, and that just keeps the soil level with your mulch. It being dry is going to keep the wet and the disease away from your plants.
Oh, that's good. That's what you want.
Right. And the watering at the bottom, like you've got it, that keeps you from getting the plants wet, which is encouraging the disease.
Yeah, we definitely want to get especially the bottom foliage wet, for sure. All right, Alainia, well, we appreciate that.
Great.
Yeah, again, that's summer tomato care, right?
Yes.
And so far, so
and
good, like you said,
great.
Right? So far, so good.
Look great.
All right, so thank you much. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. To find out more information on this topic, just click on the familyplotgarden.com link in the description.